Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. In today's video, we're going to be pouring a 40 foot by 24 foot by 6-inch thick garage slab. And we'll talk a little bit about why there's no grade beams in this slab, why there's no thickened edges or anything like that, and why a 6-inch slab like this can be perfectly fine in a lot of cases, depending on what you're doing with it and what you're going to build on top of it. And then we'll also talk a little bit about cost, like how much does doing a slab like this cost. Now, in my previous video, I'll link it at the end of this one, we talked about just why a 6-inch slab in a lot of cases is going to be just fine for what you're doing, and I show you kind of why we form it all, how we form it all up and stuff like that. So if you want to check out how we got this all ready to go today, then make sure you watch that video. But for right now, we got concrete coming. It's early in the morning here. We actually got two little slabs to pour. We got this garage slab, and then we got a little patio slab that's right behind the house. That'll be on the next video. So if you want to see that, make sure you hit subscribe. We're using our regular garage floor mix today, which is it's a 3500 PSI mix. It's got water reducer in it. Water reducer in the concrete mix allows us to pour the concrete a little bit looser than normal, than most people. A lot of people think we pour wet concrete. It's really not wet. You just got to understand, what you need to do to loosen up the slumps, what type of chemicals you need to add. And using water reducer is one of those chemicals. It actually is probably stronger concrete if it was going to be tested than if we pour this at, say, a 3 or 4 inch slump. Now we got the wire mesh in here. We also got fiber mesh in the concrete, so that's part of our normal mix. 3500 PSI water reducer, fiber mesh, and we live in Maine, so we go through a lot of freeze-thaw cycles. This won't be heated, so we add some air entrainment in this too, and air entrainment is just supposed to help the concrete, it's supposed to help it endure freeze and thaw cycles a little bit better. You can Google air entrainment if you want to in concrete, and it'll give you a little bit better explanation than that. But we deal with air entrainment a lot in our concrete. And a lot of people down south, where you don't have to worry about freeze and thaw, they use what's called non-air mixes. So there's no air entrainment in their concrete, and we've been dealing with it ever since I've been doing concrete, which is about 45 years. So we got 3 concrete trucks coming today. What we like to do is, we like to back the truck up, the first truck, get him mixed up, kind of get him dumped right out, whether it's a 10-yard truck or 9-yard truck or whatever, just get him dumped right out. We know based on the temperatures, based on what we've done in the past, how much working time we have with this concrete. You can see it's a little bit chilly here this morning. We got sweatshirts on, so we got probably even extended amount of time to work with the concrete since it's a little bit cold out today. The homeowner actually did the gravel subbase here, and he wanted us to pour right on the gravel subbase. He wasn't concerned with moisture. There's about 1.5 feet of rock here, so the subbase is really permeable. He's not painting the concrete, or he's not living on the slab. It's just kind of for storage. He's got an RV he's going to put on this. He's got a lawnmower. He's got a tractor. So it's basically just for a slab that he's going to build on top of. That's going to be for storage. He can put a car in here if he wants. There'll be a garage door on the front of this. But a 6-inch slab on top of a gravel base like this that's been compacted in lifts, meaning, say he spreads out 6 inches of this, compacts it really hard, spreads out another 6 inches, compacts it really hard, and if that's how the subbase is installed, it's not going to settle at all, and it's not going to hold water because it's so permeable. It's got a lot of rock in it, as you can see. So it's an excellent subbase for a slab like this. And because we live in Maine, a lot of the subbases in Maine, they're done a little differently than other places of the country that don't get the winters that we get. We probably go a little bit thicker on the subbases. Sometimes, depending on what's here for the original soil, if it's already a little bit sandy or gravelly, you don't have to go quite as thick. Maybe what he did here was fine. If you start digging out some of the original soil and you get into some clay or a lot of loam, then you might want to go even a little bit deeper, because the winters here, they'll freeze the ground down to about 4 feet. So you just want to be careful you don't have anything underneath, way down underneath, where the ground can freeze and start heaving the slab. But again, it's only going to heave if it holds water. So if you've got a subbase that's permeable and the water's not going to settle down in there and just stay, then it's not going to freeze and heave. And I would be shocked if this one freezes and heave based on all the slabs we've poured over the years. This subbase here is really good. So that's, I'm holding the chute there. Darren's on the left, Luke's on the right. We're getting the concrete just dumped out. We do like, when we set our forms, we like setting our forms to grade, to floor slab grade if we can. Then we can mag those edges smooth, just like you see we've done right here. And then we'll use that smoothed area, that's actual slab grade, to go by when we go to screed. You'll see how we're going to screed this in a minute. We're actually going to use a power screed, a vibra screed, to get it all screeded. But we like to have what we call grade pads to go by. So all the way around the edges, we get that mag to grade, and then we'll set one in the middle too. I'll show you how we do that real quick. Now, if you want to learn how to do this stuff from me, if you want to start learning how to do concrete, I do have the Concrete Underground. It's my training area. You can join the Concrete Underground. It's for monthly. You can stay a month, you could stay a year, or stay as long as you want. Or if you just need to do a slab like this, a simple slab, you can buy my concrete slab course. I got it step by step from prep to finish, power trowel finishing in there. You can learn everything you need to know to do your own concrete slab, whether it's a smooth slab or a broom finish type of slab. But the same basic steps are in there that we're doing right now to get this thing poured. You can see pouring right out of a concrete truck like this. This is a rear dump truck, so I have to control the chute. Most of the trucks in our area are rear dumps. Now, one good thing that I like about it is I can tell the concrete driver just how fast I want the concrete coming down the chute, so how fast he's going to discharge the concrete. Plus, I control the speed of the chute. I can hold it in a position for as long as I want, or I can move it as fast as I want. And generally, I know better how much concrete I need in an area before I move the chute. Where the concrete truck driver, he's just kind of guessing. He doesn't really know. So I can hold it, or I can go as fast or slow as I want, depending on how close I think that concrete's getting to grade. And then usually there's one guy coming behind me, what we call breaking down the concrete, getting it, puddling it as close to grade as he can. And that's what Luke was doing as I was moving the chute. Now I'm just double checking real quick, see how close we are to grade using my DeWalt self-leveling laser. And we got it really, really close. If anything, we want it like a 1/4 inch high or something. We definitely don't want it low. So we can always pull the high back into the low spot. But it's a pain in the butt to have to back the truck back up into where you've already done, and then dump some more, then pull them back ahead. So we try to leave it a little bit high if we can in the middle, and we'll deal with that when we go to screed it. We're also using sheets of wire mesh here. Those are 5 foot by 10 foot sheets. Now you can put like dobies under that, or what we call slab bolsters under that to help hold it up. We found that in most cases pulling it up like this works just as good. Now what you guys think is, well, yeah, you're pulling it up, but then you're walking all back over it and it just goes back down to the bottom. Well, it doesn't go all the way to the bottom. That concrete's got rocks in it, a lot of rocks in it. So once you pull that stuff up and you get concrete under it and then you walk back on it, it doesn't go back down to the bottom. It stays in like the bottom third, but it doesn't go back down to the bottom. And I've done videos on that, just proving it actually. So you can think whatever you want, but we'll generally, if we can't get the slab bolsters or we don't have them with us, we'll just pull it up like this. And we've had good luck doing it this way over the years. And then on the edges, we're actually using fiberglass rebar. So we got 20 foot bars of 3/8 fiberglass rebar, and that stuff's rated for the same strength as a 20 foot steel bar that's a half inch thick. So that's what the strength ratings are. And the fiberglass rebar, what we like about it is they're really light. Like I can pick up I can pick up 25 of those 20-foot bars myself and just carry them to wherever I want. Versus the steel bars, I mean, forget it. I can't even come close to picking up 25 steel bars and moving them around. So here's how we set our grade pads in the middle. You know, I'll set the laser up. I'll set the receiver on the stick where it needs to be, so the bottom of the grade stick is right at floor height. And then we shoot that with the laser. When it gets to the right height, you know, the receiver has a solid beep to it that tells me where we need to be. I'll put a little X on the pad indicating that's floor grade. Then I'll circle it, and then we know not to step in it, you know, and that's what we'll use in a minute to screed by, as you'll see. First thing we got to do is just finish getting this truck dumped out. That's right around 10 yards we're dumping right there. You can see another truck coming down the road there up to your left. That's the third truck. The second truck's already here. He's mixing up and he's getting ready. This is really probably what takes us the longest, is actually dumping the truck out when we do these slabs like this right out in the open. You know, we don't like to go so fast that we're going to get the concrete too high or too low. We just like to go at a nice even pace. So one guy can move the chute at a good pace. One guy breaking down the concrete behind him has time to break it down and try to get it as close to grade as he possibly can. And usually just two guys will do that. And then, you know, like me, I'll be shooting the grade pads, or I'll be magging edges once we get going like this and get everything ready. So as soon as that truck gets empty, you know, we can send him on his way. He'll just move out of the way and wash the chutes out. And then we grab the screed and we start getting this screeded out, then both loaded, and then we're right on to the next truck. You can see me back there magging those edges, getting them all nice and smooth. I know a lot of guys don't do that. This is just our method. It's the way we do it. We have really good luck with it, really good success with it. We're pretty fast by doing it this way, and we're pretty accurate. You know, our slabs, if this, like, this is a flat slab, the guy didn't want any slope to it. And if you want a flat slab, the way we screed this, pretty darn accurate. It's within 1/8 of an inch, you know, either up or down, and maybe even better than that in most cases, honestly. And you can tell when you bull float something like this, you know, it's pretty much just whatever the accuracy is of the laser, which there's always a tiny bit of inaccuracy in any type of equipment you use, but you know, we set that laser to the highest accuracy as possible, and then when that thing beeps, solid beep, and it tells us it's right on, that's what we go by. So here's what we do at first. You know, that's a 14-foot straight edge. That's magnesium. It's really lightweight, 2x4 by 14 feet long. We'll just strike off. We call this striking off the concrete. So Darren's kind of going by the top of the form. Luke's using the grade pad in the middle. And we're just striking off the concrete, and we're getting a nice flat area to go by in the middle, which I feel is really important. If you want a really flat slab, if you want really accurate slabs, this is the way you got to do it. Now you can use, some guys will set up a 2x4 in there, and they'll set that to grade, and they'll use the 2x4 to screed off them in the middle, and then when they get done, they'll pull that out, and then they'll shovel concrete back in. That's fine if that's the way you like doing it. That works too. This is just the way we like doing it. We don't like any extra steps. And we're pretty good at just what we call wet screeding like that, right off the top of a wet pad. And here's how we're going to screed it. We use, this one's a battery operated screeds from MBW. It's their Screed Demon. That's a 12-foot long board. Again, the slab is 24 feet wide, so the board size is really perfect. And that's me actually running the Screed Demon, and then Luke and Darren are puddling behind me. You can see they're trying to make sure that I don't get it low, that they don't get it low. They're making sure that the concrete I'm pulling back is just a little bit high. So I'm always pulling back a little bit of high as I level out the concrete. Otherwise we'll have low spots in there, we'll have dips, and you don't want any, like what we call bird baths in there after it rains. And that's it. It takes like 30 seconds to screed what we call a bay like that. It's one bay right there. I'm going to go up into the next bay. screed that down. You can see how much less time it takes to screed it than it does to actually pour the concrete out. And the key really is having, you know, at least one good guy behind you puddling. Two is even better. It's even faster. And then I just want to hold that, screed board flat as I pull it back, so it's kind of cutting the concrete right to grade. And just keep moving back nice and slow and even. I don't want to stop and start. I don't want to pull too fast. I want to give the guys time enough to work behind me to get it to grade. And that's basically how it works right there. That's how you get a really good flat level floor. Both my ends of my screed board are touching where we have grade already set, so I know I'm right to grade. Like you can actually see like a little bit of a line there on the left part of the screed board going down the middle of the slab now. That means I'm touching all the way across and I'm good to go. Alright, so here's a shot from the other side of the slab. You can see the guy's house now. He's actually got another garage there to the left side of that concrete truck he uses for his cars. And you know, that inside that garage has actually a frost wall around it. So that floor inside that garage is only 4 inches thick, and he's parking his cars on it. If that tells you anything, that tells you that a 6-inch slab isn't thick enough for cars or pickup trucks. Then I don't know where you're getting your information from, because I've been doing this 45 years, and it's on a good gravel subbase like this, that's going to be strong enough for any type of you know, car, smaller pickup truck like mine, and behind there that white one, that's plenty strong enough for a pickup truck like that, because I parked my truck inside my garage, and that floor in my garage is only 4 inches thick, and it's never cracked, never moved. So you can do a lot of stuff on a 6-inch slab. We decided to pull the truck up just to the end. Now those chutes on the back of that rear dump, they'll reach about 20 feet if you can back his back tires right up to the form. And then, you know, pouring with water reducer like we are with the slump that we have, we can easily pull that concrete, you know, another 4, 5, 6 feet just with using the come-alongs that we're using. So you can get to the back of a 26-foot garage, deep garage, pretty easily just from the concrete chutes. And then we always carry that other spare one, that 8-foot one. Plus, if you come back and watch the next video where we're going to pour the patio, you'll see we also carry a 16-foot spare chute and then another 12-foot spare chute, just for certain situations where the access is kind of tough. Yet we don't want to order a pump truck just because, you know, we got a small slab and we can just hook on the chute and use that instead. So again, I'm shooting the grades, same methods, you know, same techniques. Pour out the concrete, try to get it as close as you can just by raking it out and puddling out like Luke is doing. Use your laser stick to set your pads. Know how much time it's going to take you to get this stuff down. Know how much time you have to work with the concrete, and this actually becomes pretty easy. So three guys here can pour a 40 by 24 slab in you know, 30 or 40 minutes really, if everybody knows what they're doing. Again, Luke's controlling the chute right now. No, Darren's controlling the chute. He told the concrete driver how fast he wants the concrete coming out of the truck. And then he can move the chute. You can see how he's moving the chute. He's leaving just a little bit of a roll there. Then Luke comes right behind him and smooths it out. You kind of get a feel for that after you've done it a while. Just how close to get it to grade. It's a skill, just like anything else. Moving the chute at the right speed, putting the right amount of concrete in the right amount of space. That's a skill, you know, having an eye for that. Getting that rebar pulled up there nice. One of the main differences between the fiberglass rebar and the steel bar, though, is the fiberglass rebar is a lot more flexible, a lot more bendable than definitely than the steel rebar. So when you're pouring in place like this, you just got to make sure that as the concrete's being poured up against it, you know, it doesn't flex all over the place. That's what we did, tie it to the wire about every 4 or 5 feet. We tied it to the wire to help keep it in place. And you can see Darren's pulling it right up there, getting concrete under it. Once that concrete's under it, that rebar will stay up, you know, 2 or 3 inches up into the concrete like that. We were kind of hoping the first 2 trucks would do this one slab. And it kind of figured that way, but you know, the subgrade was pretty good actually as far as being flat. It was up and down about a 1/2 inch, so there were spots that were a 1/2 inch low, a couple spots maybe a 1/2 inch high, so it goes from 5.5 inches in a few spots to 6 to 6.5 in a few spots. That gives us a good 6-inch average. So when you figure that out, you know, you figure your concrete, then you add a little bit extra to be safe, and we figured these 2 trucks would do it. You'll get to see here in a minute just what happened, if we made it or not. And then we got that 3rd truck for the little patio that's going to be out behind the house. Luke's getting that concrete raked around. Darren's tugging up on the wire, getting some concrete under it. So again, Darren can pull that wire up, concrete gets under it. Luke can walk right back on it like that, and it doesn't go back down to the bottom, just to be clear. Because I know you guys are going to say, oh, number one, you're going to say we're pouring the concrete way too wet. And I've already explained that. You can go back to the beginning of the video and listen to that over again. And then as far as all those rocks, those are 3/4 inch rocks in the concrete. Once you get a bunch of them rocks under the wire, under the rebar, it literally can't go all the way back down to the bottom because it's got all those rocks under it. You can see it takes a little bit of a time, even for 3 really experienced guys. It takes a little bit of time just to get the concrete poured out of the truck and put in place. And the thicker the slabs are, the more time it takes. It takes longer for the concrete to fill up to the grade you need it at. I guess we could pour out a little bit faster if we wanted to, but we're really in no hurry here. I mean, we're going to get this dumped out very fast, so we don't have to worry about any type of extra time charges. Like, I've never, in my 45 years, I've never been charged for extra time, having the concrete truck on the job too long. Not saying I haven't had slower pours than others, but maybe part of that is because, you know, we work with these guys every day. We pour with them every day. We're a very good customer of theirs. I always pay for my concrete whenever I get the bill. I don't wait. I'm sure they appreciate that. So if there happens to be a job where it's actually the pour goes slower than normal or access isn't as good, we got to use a longer chute, stuff just takes longer, they've never charged me for extra time. This company here, they don't even charge me for small load charges. So say I had a job where it was just a yard or 2 yards, I could just call them up and order that small load, and they just send it and just charge me for the, you know, whatever I ordered with nothing extra. And I think that's definitely part of being able to pour with these guys every day, having a good relationship with them, paying them on time. You know, when you call up and you have concrete ordered for every day of the week, pretty much every day, every working day of the month, sometimes on Saturday too, and that customer pays his bill when you send him the bill, that's a pretty good relationship right there to have. Now we do have a string around the top of those forms, and we check those forms with the string. You know, the string's going to stay straight. If the form moves in and out based on where the string is, then we can go back and make sure the forms stay nice and straight. So far, I haven't seen us have to add any type of bracing to the outside of the forms to push it back in. So the forms are all staying in place really good right now. And we this is what we call kick screeding. So as we screed the concrete backwards, we kick concrete in where our feet were to fill in the voids. This is what we call kick screeding. And sometimes we'll screed a whole slab like like this way. We'll just do it by hand if we want to. This is what we did years ago. This is how we were taught before these vibrating screeds even came out. This is how we screeded everything. And it's still pretty fast. It's actually, we're probably just about as fast as using the power screed, to be honest with you, the three of us. But this gives you a good idea of, number one, how light that thing is. That thing weighs about 35, 38 pounds, the battery one. The gas one weighs a few pounds more, but it's similar. And then we set that down. It doesn't sink, even though you guys say I'm pouring the concrete wet. It doesn't sink into the concrete because we're not pouring it wet. And then I give it a little bit of throttle, get going. Probably got that thing up to about half throttle. And then I just let the guys do the work behind me, and I keep an eye on my ends. You can see the little line I'm leaving. That's what I'm looking for right there. I want to make sure I'm leaving that little line on both sides. And then when we go to bow float over that, it bow floats it nice and smooth. It's a good shot of how that works right there. Very, very, I call it easy. I mean, when we first started using those years ago, like we were like, oh man, I don't know. Because we liked hand screeding, so we were fast hand screeding. We were really accurate hand screeding. And we were just a little skeptical if we could get the slab as accurate, as flat using these. But after a short time, there's a little bit of a learning curve to it. You can see it's relatively easy to run, but there's still a little bit of a learning curve to it. And finally we got it to where, you know, we're just as fast using this as we are hand screeding. We get concretes, we get slabs just as accurate. Pretty good sized garage slab here. Actually, he's going to just have one door in that end up by where that you can see the front of that concrete truck. There's going to be one garage door up there, and then I think he's going to be like a post and beam type of garage with a roof on it, and then he can enclose it in if he wants to, or he could just build, like, he could just have his have it open access with the post with just a, you know, like a 512, 612 pitch roof over this thing, just to keep everything nice and dry. That's how we call puddling the concrete. That's how you rake the concrete. We call it puddling, but that's how you puddle concrete behind a vibra screed right there. The two guys, they're always working, they're always moving. They're either pulling concrete back or they're pushing a little bit up, keeping it as accurate as possible behind the screed. And good exercise right there. The guy running the screed actually has the easy job if you think about it. We usually always switch. It just so happens on this one, I guess I ran it for the whole thing, but usually the three of us will all just grab it and just go, and it doesn't matter who's doing what. We just need to get it done. We like to get them done as quick as possible, and then usually we'll leave a couple guys here to power trowel this. Now this will end up getting power trowel finished. It'll end up getting sawed control joints, contraction joints here today. So it'll be completely finished here today. In most cases, it's by the time we're done, this is rock hard. We'll even strip the forms, take the pins, get cleaned up, and just get out of here, because we're on to another job tomorrow, like another day. We could be 60 miles from here. We don't know. We usually work about an hour in all directions from our shop. This job here is it probably took us about 40 minutes to get to this job. It's a little bit south of where we are, and we could be 40 minutes north of the shop tomorrow. So, you know, we don't want to have to travel back and forth just to pick up forms when it doesn't hurt to strip them the same day. The concrete's rock hard. I mean, just take them off, load them up, clean them up, load them up. Bring them back to the shop, unload them if you want, or use them again on another slab. So again, we were hoping this truck was going to finish, but as you can see, he just ran out, and we're going to be just about a wheelbarrow short. So that was kind of a bummer, but not that big a deal since that third truck's sitting right there. We got to get him mixed up and ready to go anyway. You can see me running that bow float over where I just screeded, how nice and flat there is. There's no dips under that. There's no humps. Just down and back and perfectly flat. That's what it should look like when you bow float. If you're bow floating stuff and there's gaps under it and you got to shovel concrete back under there, then you probably should kind of look at how we do things and maybe copy what we do, because you shouldn't have to shovel concrete back up under the bow float. If you do, then what you just screeded isn't flat. You're gonna have high areas and low areas, and it's just not good. So what we're doing out back of the house, kind of out right in behind my white truck, in between the house, and there's a little gap in between the house and garage, is the homeowners wanted a little patio slab out there. That's going to be a broom finish slab. So if you haven't, subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to come back and see that on the next video. So we got that all formed up the same day we formed the garage slab up, and then we're going to pour that with that third truck too here today. So we'll not only will we power trowel this and get it all smooth and done, but we'll do the broom finish slab also, get that all broom finished, cut our joints in that, and have that all done today too. And then depending on how the concrete all sets up, we may strip the forms on that too, or we may leave them and come back. Next time we're in the area, just pick up those. That's actually a 4-inch slab out there for just, they're going to put a picnic table on it, a gas grill, some chairs and stuff like that, just to sit out behind the house. That's where the sun comes up in the morning out there. That's the east over there to the left. You can see Luke grabbed it. I'm still bow floating, just finishing that piece off. Concrete driver is going to just get his concrete mixed up and ready to go. And then we'll get a little bit dumped in there, and then we're going to show you just real quick at the end of the video just what we're doing out back. So again, if you're thinking of doing a concrete slab or a shed slab or any type of slab for whatever you need to do, the steps are all basically the same. You got to get the gravel base in, you got to get that nice and flat and compacted. Then you got to set the forms, you got to get them square, you got to set them to grade, you got to pin them, you got to put in your reinforcement. Then you got to pour and finish your concrete. So I break that all down in a nice, easy step-by-step course. I've got multiple trainings in there on different types of jobs, different size jobs that you can learn from. That's in the concrete slab course, but it's also included in the concrete underground if you want to join that, where there's all kinds of other types of trainings too, from stamp concrete to concrete repair to epoxy coatings. Basically all the types of stuff that we do in my business, there's trainings in there in the concrete underground. So here we are, just finishing up. Concrete driver likes to give me the slip there. That's the slip saying, how many yards he's got, what type of mix, and and all that good stuff. And then we'll get this finished up. Now there is a little bit of warm water because it's chilly today. There's a little bit of warm water in the concrete mix, and then we do always add a little bit of accelerator when temperatures start getting really cold, just to help get the concrete set up. Make sure it sets up before it gets dark here tonight. We don't want to be finishing out here in the dark. And if you got questions about that, you can ask them in the comments. I'll try to help you answer any questions about using warm water or using accelerators down there. We live in Maine, so we have to use them usually from November, December, January, February, March. 5 months we're using warm water and accelerators in our concrete. And that's what the 6-inch slab looks like right there. Now this guy, he can use it for whatever he wants. He can build a garage on this. It'll be perfectly fine. A single story garage on this. 6 inches is going to be plenty strong enough to support that, especially on the base that he put down. He doesn't need thickened edges. He doesn't need gray beams. You know, if you got a sand for a sub base, then maybe you want to think about doing that. And then out back here, take a look at this. So I'll show you out back. There was just a little gap. Well, not a little gap, but there was a gap in between his original garage right here and then the house. And then this is where he wants, you can see we got a 16-foot chute on here. So come on back. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.